Something big is brewing in Buffalo. A cool, composed Game 1 over the Canadiens is a massive stepping stone for a team that saw the bottom back in December. The Boston series was a dance for the stars, but Wednesday saw a new set of heroes lurking in the shadows, waiting for their time to strike. Not only did the Sabres claim the early lead in Game 1, but the first of 4 knockout blows in the best of 7 against Montreal. Hello, welcome. I'm Ryan Lee, and welcome to Sabres Digest. All things Buffalo Sabres will be here on Sabres Digest, your latest news, updates, reactions, and more. So subscribe down below to follow along for the journey, and thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to us. So going into the series against Montreal, it was essentially a 50-50 shot at who was going to take this series at the end of the day. A lot of similarities between the two. Maybe not your star goaltending like you'd expect from, say, a Tampa or Boston, but you had a lot of pieces available who could contribute up and down the roster, especially for two of the younger teams in the entire playoff field. And Game 1, even though some of the analytics heavily favor the Sabres in terms of the deserve to win-o-meter and some of the analytics, I feel the deserve to win-o-meter doesn't really tell a lot of the full story, considering some of the shot totals and the face-off numbers and how many of their top guys were getting in and out of the offensive zone. Just the overall look of it. It didn't look like Buffalo really commanded a lot of this game, but when you look at the heat map, on the bottom, you have the bigger dots signifying more higher danger shot opportunities versus the smaller ones. It's very clear that Buffalo were all over Jakub Dobeš all game long. And that's going to be largely a key to what this series is going to be. It's very different from the Boston series just by look alone, where the Boston defenders were kind of able to shove whoever was net front out of the way to get Jeremy Swayman the looks. And of course, with Swayman being the caliber of goalie that he is, when he gets those windows to view the shooter, he's going to find a way to stop it. But Jakub Dobeš is still a rookie, and a lot of the traffic in front of the net seemed to be wreaking all sorts of havoc and causing all sorts of chaos for the young former Buckeye rather. And it really all come to a head with this Montreal game, not because of anything Montreal did poorly, but rather what Buffalo just did on their own level. We've talked a lot about in the Boston series how it's kind of a battle of the stars, right? You have Jeremy Swayman and Pasternak and McAvoy really controlling that whole series. And that top line of Thompson, Krebs, and Tuch, they were the ones commanding a lot of the offense in the Boston series. But if Game 1 against Montreal is any indicator, we're going to be seeing a lot of names from a lot of guys that we did not hear a lot of in Game 1, and a lot of players who throughout this entire series could be having their name up and down the score sheet more often than in round 1. Zack Benson was the first star of the game with a pair of assists. Josh Doan got a goal and assist. Ryan McLeod, the same thing, both on the power play. I'll get to that momentarily. And Jordan Greenway getting his first goal of the playoffs. The depth has been something that the Sabres have really excelled on this entire season. We talked about in the last video of what Sam Carrick's potential return could be to the Buffalo Sabres. And also credit to Tyson Kozak leading the entire team in expected goals in Game 1. This was a game won by the third and fourth lines on paper. It's just this bottom 6 unit of the Sabres took over. And I don't know if that's a mismatch. I don't know if that was spacing. Maybe some of the game really flustering Dobeš. I'm not sure what that case was. Not only did they do so on 5-on-5 play, but they did so on the special teams unit as well. Even towards the end of the game where they're forced to close things out and, to use a soccer term, they parked the bus. They played prevent defense. They just wanted to shut everything down by the end of the game. And when you have players contributing 12 forwards deep, 6 defensemen across, it really does have a huge effect in the long run of how that plays out its positives in the Sabres. And not only did those secondary guys get that production in 5-on-5, they might have fixed the power play straight up. Because I believe it was Anson Carter who was set up on the TNT panel. That second unit for Buffalo, you might need to send a message by sending them out there. And oh boy, did they send a huge message, that second unit. When you have those 3 guys of Doan, McLeod, Benson, Bowen Byram sitting in the back, they were exceptional on the power play, which was a missing ingredient all playoffs long against Boston. Take a look at the numbers, especially kind of going down to up. Only one power play goal in the entire month of April, if you include the regular season. After a pretty decent regular season showing in the playoffs, but still in the bottom 10, bottom 11, going only one goal throughout the entire Boston series, and you go 2 of 3 to open up Montreal. It is very clear that something had to be shaken up with the power play. No one could figure out what it was, but Anson Carter put it best. Sometimes you gotta send a message by putting out the second unit, and they were able to feast on it. Benson got a couple assists off it. McLeod got 2 points off of it. Bowen Byram back on the score sheet again, and if I'm not mistaken, he set a franchise record in defenseman goals in a playoff run, period. Not a series, an entire playoff. And we're only in game 1 of round 2. Now that the power play might have finally found a spark that can actually create and cause danger for the other teams, this opens up the entire door for the Buffalo Sabres on what's possible. And one of the key reasons why that second unit worked and why I thought the first unit was better in some of the early portions of the year, it's the one guy that I've referred to as the Chihuahua on the team. He's small. You don't think much of him, but if you get anywhere near them, they're going to try to fight you. Zack Benson is kind of your Brad Marchand equivalent now that he's nowhere to be seen in the playoffs and no one's that real quote-unquote rat of the playoffs. But Zack Benson has been an absolute Chihuahua throughout. 5 points in 7 games, including 2 last night, where he was the first star of the game. For a relatively small guy, only 5'10", 177, coming off a career year. But my favorite stat about Zack Benson, 21 penalty minutes drawn leads the playoffs. Second is Sidney Crosby. That is the type of play that Zack Benson is having throughout the playoffs. Drafting him in the first round was one of the big hits that Kevyn Adams did have during his tenure as the Sabres GM. It's one thing to have a playoff run with your stars, but champions are won because of those unsung heroes that don't get those major headlines, but you discover them as their play goes in and out of the playoffs. And as per usual, this win in round 1 had a seismic shift in the overall odds and how the rest of the series can pan out. Money Puck already has the Sabres at an 85% shot of making the Eastern Conference Finals after this one game alone. You have a commanding lead. Now the question is, can you maintain it? It's something that you hear throughout all of sports, not just in the NHL, of playing for the guy next to you, right? Playing for your fellow teammates. We play for each other, so on and so forth. It's a very common adage in sports. But considering the overall story and how we got to this point, some of these guys are finally getting the flowers they deserve after being in the abyss of the league for so long. And Rasmus Dahlin has been the ringleader in that. Captain of the Sabres, has been here probably the longest on the team, if not second longest. Has seen all the turmoil that this franchise has gone through, and there were rumors that maybe he'd ask for a trade if things don't go well this year. And not only are you now on a playoff-ready team, but Ras is finally probably on the favorite coming out of the series. And Dahlin absolutely deserves this. Being a Norris Trophy finalist as one of the top 3 defensemen in the league after the absolutely tumultuous early season that he had with his wife having a miscarriage because she had heart failure, and you're still a top 3 defenseman in the entire NHL? Rasmus Dahlin deserves a lot of his flowers, and it feels like, even more so now than ever, the mantra of we play for each other, you play for the guy next to you, we work together, we rally together, that has been more true now than ever, because it comes not just for the captain, but for everyone else down the roster also. You can make this argument last year with Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals going on the run they had because of the Gretzky-Ovi goal chase. It's only game 1. It's still very early on. But there is absolutely opportunity to maybe take a stranglehold in this series. Carolina's up 2-0. Colorado's up 1-0. And right after the Sabres game ended, the Ducks tied the series at 1-0. Of course, it's far from over, but this is a great step in the right direction. The Stars showed they could show up in round 1. In game 1, it was everyone else on the roster, your bottom 6, kind of carrying the load also. when everyone finally comes together and has that same level of production throughout the entire roster, it's only going to create better and better results for the Sabres as time goes along. It's still early. We still have a lot left to see. At the very least, this is a very positive step for the Sabres. We'll have more going throughout the entire playoffs. I'll definitely have an update prior to Game 2. But this is a very positive note from the Sabres, considering that they were able to beat Dobesh 4 times on, 16 shots? That productivity is probably not going to get matched again. But it worked today. And that's all that matters. Take it one game at a time. You win your game. And I think Marty Baron put it best on a recent radio appearance. You win 4 of 7 repeatedly throughout the regular season, you're not making the playoffs. But you win 4 of 7 repeated throughout the playoffs, you win the Stanley Cup. It took 6 to get Boston down. But the first punch has been thrown by Buffalo. 1 down, 3 to go. It resumes on Friday. And I'll have more for you before then. But until then, thank you so much for watching. For all things Buffalo Sabres, your latest news, updates, reactions, and more, subscribe down below. And even leave your comments down below. I love reading them. I love seeing them. I love seeing you guys interact with each other. That's probably my favorite part in all this. Some of the debates and commentary between you all, that's probably my favorite part in all this. I want to say thank you so much for everything along the way. Have a good one. And as always, go Sabres.